glorious control. But Yuta needs an opponent. Who will it be? We have Yoshihiko Ikawa or Arne Huschenbeth. It could be either one of these people. Yoshihiko Ikawa, our tournament leader for the entire tournament, running Domain Ramp. Arne Huschenbeth on Esper Midrange. The deck of the tournament came in the highest numbers, but perhaps not the best performing numbers overall. Let's take a look at Yoshihiko Ikawa's road here to the top 8. Went undefeated day 1, 3 buys to close it out, and check out that round number 13 opponent. You see who that is?
That's Arne, and look at all the other Esper mid-range there. You notice one little common thing there, Maria, all wins.
All wins, absolutely. All right, so Yoshihiko Ikawa probably feeling pretty good about this matchup versus Arne Huschenbeth, who went 6-0 in draft. Props to him there. It's 6-4 in standard and 0-4 versus the rest of our top 8, actually.
Wow.
So Arne here looking to kind of flip the script this time around and take down Yoshihiko Ikawa. So we'll see if he can do it this time around. There's a look at the players. Tell me about these decks.
Yeah, let's take a look at the decks. So first, we're going to check out Domain Ramp from Yoshihiko Ikawa. And now this is, you play this deck to be paired up against Esper midrange over and over and over again. This deck destroys aggressive deck, destroys midrange deck. Doesn't want to play against combo, but we saw what happened in the quarterfinals.
Yes.
Ikawa, in my opinion, got past the toughest matchup here in the top 8. I think Ikawa is going to be very excited to play against Arne, especially after already beating him. So let's check out the other deck here. This is the CFB special Esper midrange here with the 4 wedding announcements. Now this version is a lot better against other Esper decks. That's really what they wanted to beat. They were just like, well, if there's a lot of domain, we picked the wrong deck. It's a bad choice, but there wasn't that much domain. So Arne, had a pretty decent tournament, but running into it in the top 4 here, it's going to be one of those tricky 60-40 at best, maybe 65-35 style matchup. Ooh. And in standard, you usually don't get those kind of matchups that have that wide of spread. Everything's usually pretty close, not this matchup.
All right, it's time to find our second finalist here at Pro Tour Thunder Junction. So I'm going to toss it on over to Riley and Cedric.
Thanks very much, Maria and Corey, and we head over now to our feature match area for the last time in our semi-finals, Cedric, to find out who will be facing Yuta Takahashi in the finals. Very excited to see Azorius Control do well, but that deck on the back burner for now as we head down to our feature match area and check out this matchup between Domain Ramp and Esper Midrange. Esper Midrange, the most played deck by quite some margin in this tournament. It hasn't been utterly dominant, though. It's put up good numbers, but certainly not by any means unbeatable.
Safest deck to choose, just because the card quality is very, very high, and given that high card quality, pardon me, look, somebody's going to top 8 with it. Multiple people are going to top 8 with it, and Arne is, of course, one of those players who is spearheading the archetype into the semifinals here in Seattle. It is a very, very good deck, but it is running into a very, very tough matchup right now in Domain.
And we're jumping in game number 2 here between Arne Huschenbeth and Yoshihiko Ikawa. And Arne's off to a good start here with a Fairy Mastermind being flashed in, but we've already sort of mentioned this. Corey was talking about this at the desk, Cedric. Interested to hear your thoughts on it as well. A bit of an uphill battle for the German here.
Yes, I absolutely do think so. It doesn't mean Arne can't win again because the card quality in his deck is very, very high. However, as an Up the Beanstalk is going to resolve and a card is drawn here for Ikawa, the very scary part is that Ikawa's deck, once it's able to get its base set, it just casts very powerful spells over and over and over again. And the Esper midrange deck doesn't have a lot of counter magic or reactive ways to kind of work through that.
It can just sort of go over the top of what the Esper midrange deck is doing really effectively.
That is exactly what it would be looking to do, and we have seen Ikawa do that in this matchup over the course of the weekend. So, again, if you are Huschenbeth, your goal is to try to end the game as quickly as reasonably possible. Now, unfortunately for Esper, it doesn't have the fastest clock in the world because it's a midrange deck, but it's going to try to do its absolute best.
Cartographer's Survey here for Yoshihiko, who is playing 0 copies of Invasion of Zendikar, one of my favorite cards in the format. Love a bit of exploding veggies. Explosive vegetation, really.
And you call me old?
Well, that's not old, dude. Come on.
Bet.
So 20 out of 14.
Yeah.
It's like 10 years old.
Honey, you're adorable.
All right, come on, man. Let's just. Yeah, I'm sorry. Just to sort of give the viewer a bit of a peek behind the curtain. Cedric, I do commend, like, he's a professional through and through. I really commend him for his good work that he does. he has really had to put on a brave face here because he is tilted like a pinball machine after watching Boros Convoke get fed its own teeth by Azorius Control. But I will say, I was an absolute gentleman about it. I definitely didn't rub it in. I definitely didn't let you know what I thought of you and your deck there.
I appreciate you.
That's fine, mate. You know, we're a team, dude. We look after each other, thick and thin, baby. All right. Yoshihiko Ikawa, he's in a great spot here. Up the beanstalk active, but Arne trying to find a way back into this game. Not going to do it when Sunfall is here to take care of those creatures. Exiling the Denic as well.
Exiling both creatures. Both of those creatures don't mind dying in traditional ways, so maybe something like Depopulate, for example, because they do have some fun text that allows them to be played again. Of course, Denic being disturbed, and no, the old big bat will just transform into a land a high percentage of the time there. But Sunfall says exile, and also a creature too. Pretty brutal 1-2 punch there from Sunfall.
Draws a card as well. When you're drawing a card from your sweeper, it's not a bad position to be in by any means.
Not at all.
Up the beanstalk, proven too good for Modern. Been banned out of that format, but in Standard, still doing good work.
Doing excellent work in Standard, and glad it's not Modern anymore. Those times weren't the most fun of times, in my estimation.
All right. Restless Anchorage getting in, creating a map token, but this attack a little anemic here from Arne, who I think is struggling to stay in this game. Yoshihiko Ikawa, plenty of options for him. That's 7 mana. It's the best of the best. It's going to be a Traxa. Guaranteed card off the Up the Beanstalk, and then we're going to get some goodies from the trigger as well. Oh, a lot of lands, though. Hey, look at this. Okay. Only 4 cards.
Now, only.
Only.
And a 7/7 Flying Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink. Are we going for?
Only.
Oh, it's just the cards. Okay. These cards, the 4, just the 4, they should help to bridge the gap. This is what I like to call the first swing here from Ikawa. You know, stabilize, present a threat.
Yep.
You know, so this is the first Atraxa. Naturally, if Arne can't get rid of this, the game ends. But I'd like to believe that Arne has some sort of way to get rid of this. The Go for the Throat was already placed into the graveyard from the map. Maybe Arne has one in hand because they've not really had a reason to cast one otherwise, and then be able to keep attacking potentially with the Restless Anchorage. But we'll see. We'll see, because again, if Atraxa doesn't leave, Arne does. That's how it works.
You can sometimes beat one Atraxa.
Yeah, beating the second one is basically impossible.
It's
but
the second
you can beat the first one.
Yeah, it's the second one that gets you. That's how they get you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And perhaps the cards.
Also, the cards that come off the first one as well. They're probably going to help. Yeah. Yeah. And you can see Yoshihiko here, a nice full grip for him. Arne finds a deep cavern bat here. So we can get a look at Yoshihiko's grip, and my oh my, it's a nice one. Archangel of Wrath. Up the Beanstalk. Other cards, not hugely relevant, although we might see the Herd Migration cast as a token generator.
It could be a token generator. Gaining a little bit of life isn't the worst spot to be in either, going from 9 to potentially 12. And because Arne's deck is so anemic with regards to attacking, being at 12 life is a ton for Ikawa, and that could maybe cement the game all by itself, potentially. So, again, the follow-up to Atraxa being a Deep Cavern bat, and now mapping Onset bat.
Yeah.
I'm going to say less than ideal.
So finds a land and plays it immediately with the map token. But this is the problem that you run into when you're playing Esper mid-range against a deck like this. This deck is just so capable to go over the top of what you're doing. And once they're in a position that they've got themselves set up with their lands, you're not disrupting their hand. You need to disrupt them early.
Yeah, it has to be, and people are going to be tired of me saying this weekend, but it's just true. It's got to be aggression plus disruption.
Yeah,
that's what it has to
be.
But
that's the way you beat these decks.
Yeah.
Pressure plus disruption. It's a classic combination. This is what you got to do.
Yeah. Got to be attacking, and then a counter spell here, removal spell there, a discard spell somewhere in between, and keep Ikawa off balance enough. So get ahead, keep attacking, and then have some reactive permission and some proactive permission to be able to get the game over with, because if just Atraxas and Herd Migrations are being cast and resolving, you can't beat that. It's too much to overcome.
All right, here's the prediction, all right?
No, okay, prediction
here's
or
the
spoiler?
prediction. This is a Game 2 prediction
Right, okay.
for the result of the tournament.
Oh, sure.
Ikawa will win this match and then get stomped by Yuta.
Oh, boy.
That's what's going to happen.
Wow.
Because Domain can't beat Azorius.
Does Ikawa know that?
We can go and tell him. Save us all a lot of time.
Okay.
Or do you want to watch the matches?
I would love to
Let's watch the matches. On second thought, let's watch them.
Because I don't know, a really weird thing happened in so far as Ikawa got paired against Team Analyst, which is another deck that Domain cannot possibly beat. And yet here we are.
And yet here we are.
That's really weird.
All right, so strange. Well, he's used his one time.
Oh.
And you only get one of them.
Yeah.
So that's it. That is it. Sorry, Yoshihiko. No, look, more seriously, anything could happen here. This Domain deck has the potential for incredibly powerful and explosive draws, as we've seen, and then has a terrific late game as well. So, a lot of magic left to play. A lot of magic left to play here. As Yoshihiko is hit down to 5 now in the air. The bat getting in with the anchorage. But with 15 power of beasts on the battlefield, Yoshihiko is on a... he's got a 2-turn clock here for Arne, although that deck does change things a little bit with lifelink. But let's not forget, Yoshihiko's plenty of other cards in hand. Still got that egg to crack. Another up the beanstalk.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but it's always a good sign when the Domain player is moving around and counting their mana and rolls up their sleeves beforehand.
Yoshihiko actually literally rolling up his sleeves.
Always a good sign for the opponent.
All right. 9 mana here for our Domain player. 7 for another Atraxa. And we've already said that's how they get you.
That's the second.
The second Atraxa. So, card off the... was that 11 cards?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh, numbers are really hard. Numbers are really hard. Who knows? The second
Only
Atraxa...
for Azorius control players.
The thing, you don't have to count. You don't have to count. Is there a creature on the battlefield? Count a sweeper. Is there not? Count a counter spell.
Okay.
It's fine. Can you count to 1, Cedric?
It's a personal question.
Okie dokes. Well, 10 cards off the top from the Atraxa, and 4 of them put into Yoshihiko's hand once again. And again, there is the matter of the 7/7 keyword soup beater here for Arne to contend with. It's going to be a difficult one.
I think the thing that Ikawa was searching for the most there was just something that resembles a removal spell, which of course is Leyline Binding. Went through 2 of those. The planes that Ikawa is playing is going to probably help to assist in casting the very powerful enchantment. So
yeah, the fact that he was about to put into play tapped indicates to us that, yes, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
Draws a card. Leyline Binding the bat. Give me my angel back. Sand with some of the beasts. Gonna leave 1 back on defense.
Yeah, I kind of like this. Just there's no reason to be over-aggressive at this stage of things. If you're Ikawa, you have a pretty commanding lead if you get the opportunity to untap. You, of course, have Atraxa on the battlefield. You have these beasts up the beanstalk. So your base is set. Your mana is perfect. Lovely. Looks like Ikawa might be discarding a couple of cards here just at the end step. But don't forget, of course, about that Sunfall Incubator token that was made earlier, too, that can be a blocker and an attacker as well. So if you're Ikawa, the goal is, I make it through this turn. This game is donezo.
Yeah, yeah. If Ikawa, if Yoshihiko gets to untap, I think that's going to be it. This is the only chance that Arne is going to have to win this game. Yoshihiko on 5. The other thing, is there a herd migration in hand for Yoshihiko? Because that's another 3 life, if needs be, depending on what's going to defend his life total better, whether it is the egg or the
next game.
Yeah. Or the discard, and it is not going to be any or either of those things because Arne Huschenbeth scoops him up. We're going to go to game number 3 here. Yoshihiko Ikawa, 1 game away, Cedric, from a berth in the final.
Now, Arne had the opportunity to chat with Ailey a little bit earlier in the day after winning his quarterfinals matchup, and he said that Game 1 and Game 2 are pre-sideboarded. And he was nervous about that because he felt that his pre-sideboard games are not great. And that is evidently true given the deficit that Arne is in. However, one of the things that mid-range decks have always done very well historically in Magic is get better after sideboard because they're able to tailor their deck to what it needs to be. Now, the big question here is, does Huschenbeth have all the tools necessary in his sideboard to make his deck better in this matchup? I don't think he has enough options realistically to win 3 games in a row and get the reverse sweep, but to be able to make at least one of these games competitive, let's see, because it starts with game number 3. We can't get to game number 4 until Arne wins game number 3.
Right.
So he can turn his deck around, get some of the bad cards out, get some better cards in, and try to turn these losses into a win.
Well, Cedric, I'm so glad you brought up sideboards because I've been sent through what happened when it comes to the sideboarding that these 2 players did, and I can reveal to you now that Arne took out 3 wedding announcement,
Garbage.
3 cut down,
Garbage.
2 Denic,
Yep.
okay, and 1 Acklazotz.
I like Denic, so I am.
Yeah, you're not gonna. And what about Acklazotz? You're gonna anger the
I
bad
like,
guy?
no, I like Big Bad.
No, you wouldn't dare.
I like Big
You
Bad.
wouldn't dare. You wouldn't dare slander the bat.
That's right.
And instead, in has come a Disdainful Stroke, a Destroy Evil, a Lauren of the Third Path, 1 Wandering Emperor, and 3 Tishana's Tide Minders and 2 Negates.
Yeah, so the deck
Looking
gets
much better.
The deck gets significantly better after
Significantly
sideboard.
better,
It's
yeah.
just the hole is obviously pretty big here, given that Arne can't lose another game.
And it's difficult to dig up, speaking from personal experience. We've got from Yoshihiko Ikawa's side of things, he's taken out just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Glimpse the Core, Cartographer's Survey, the one I was coming out. 1 Up the Beanstalk, 2 Spelunking, and a Topiary Stomper. So he's slowed down his deck considerably when it comes to ramping, Cedric. And he's brought in 2 Negate, 3 Long Goodbye, so obviously wanting to be a bit more interactive, and then 2 Chrome Host Seed Shark, which I think we've already seen a copy of in Yoshihiko's hand. So very clear that what he's done here is gone, right, I'm not going to try to race to 7 mana and slam my haymakers into play. What I'm going to do is interact. I'm going to slow down and almost, I think it's counter disruption that he's brought in. He's expecting more disruption to come in. He's not wanting to disrupt Arne so much as he's wanting to prevent Arne from disrupting him.
Correct. 100% agree. Both players are just getting more interactive after sideboard, and I think that Arne's deck gets better after sideboard than Ikawa's deck does, just with regards to the sideboard cards that are being brought in. Arne's just really cleaning up his deck and making it a lot more streamlined. However, Arne's so far behind in game number 1 and game number 2 that the decks are just, I would say, closer to even, but still in Ikawa's favor. Again,
You think so?
Doesn't mean Huschenbeth can't win, but it is very difficult.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I think Ikawa's still favored after sideboard. It's just, it's significantly closer now.
Yes.
I know people like to attribute numbers to things, but, instead of it being, 70-30 in favor of Ikawa pre-sideboard, it might be like 52-48 now, Ikawa. I still think Ikawa's favored.
I was going to say it was pretty close to 50-50, so I agree with your estimation there. Because you do lose percentage points when your opponent's bringing in really effective disruption that they can pair with pressure, like we're seeing Arne do right now. Look at this.
But a lot of what Arne does and is doing is significantly better on the play. The concern, of course, is what's it look like when Arne's on the draw.
So he wins this game on the play.
I would assume that.
Well, no, like hypothetically, he wins this game on the play, and then has to try to enact the same game plan
On the draw.
when his opponent is a land, maybe 2 lands ahead.
Correct.
And you've got a Topiary Stomper, that sort of thing. It becomes a lot more difficult then.
Absolutely does.
That's a good point. So Arne right now thinking about what he wants to do with his Wandering Emperor. Going to go upstairs, put a counter on the bat. Again, the bat, a great place to plop those +1/+1 counters. We've seen it happen all weekend. The 1/1 lifelink body, flying lifelink body, I should say. A terrific place if you want a return on that investment of those +1/+1 counters.
5 cards. 5 cards.
Difficult spot here for Huschenbeth. The hand is quite good, all things told, as far as the sideboarding is concerned. There's a copy of Lauren of the Third Path, there's Negate, there's a Destroy Evil. Those are all sideboard cards, and whenever you're playing a sideboard game, you want to draw those cards. That's why you brought them in. Now, how well do they line up against what Ikawa is doing? Well, if you're worried about a card like Sunfall, you kind of got that covered, and Lauren's going to be able to take care of the Up the Beanstalk if that's a major priority for Huschenbeth as well. The thing that is not particularly covered well here is Archangel of Wrath. That's a very scary card in a situation like this, and Ikawa has multiple copies.
So Yoshihiko loses his Up the Beanstalk there to Arne's Lauren of the Third Path. Draws a card, rolls up the sleeve once again. Ooh. On Sleeve Watch.
It wasn't as demonstrative as the last time.
No, it certainly wasn't. But on Sleeve Watch 24, we're paying careful attention to this sort of thing. Obviously got a decision to make here, Cedric.
Well, and Ikawa also has to think similarly about, okay, what can my opponent do in a situation like this? After sideboard, they have a lot of 2-mana spells that they can play on my turn. They have Negate, they have Destroy Evil, they have access to another copy of Fairy Mastermind. So is it as easy as just playing an Archangel of Wrath, kicking it and that sort of thing and passing the turn back, or better served to get yourself into Chrome Seed Sharky Poo? That's that's the real name.
Right.
I know it says
was,
Chrome Host.
It was changed late in development from what I've heard. Yeah.
Chrome Seed Sharky Poo that's getting hit by Destroy Evil here.
And that's going to get met by a long goodbye to get a bit of value from the Seed Shark before it departs this world. And get back the Leyline Binding.
Yeah, this is
will immediately be cast.
This is an excellent turn. This is a triple spell turn from a domain deck that does not do that sort of thing very often.
Yeah, on 6 lands.
Yeah. So Shark, long goodbye. Use the long goodbye on the bat trigger, get your Leyline Binding back. Leyline Binding only costs 1 because the lands are beautiful. That takes care of the Wandering Emperor. And now, if you are Ikawa, life total's still high enough to be able to get an untap.
Yeah.
And then see what happens after that.
Huge turn there for Ikawa. Huge turn for our Japanese player. Rolls up the sleeves once again. They keep falling down just so we can roll them back up.
I know.
And Arne, you can see here,
4.77.
bit of a look of concern on his face as in come the Fairy Mastermind and the Lauren of the third path. Lauren, of course, having Vigilance. Nice little combo there, by the way. Lauren comboing well with the Fairy Mastermind.
Yes, it does.
Tap ability, you and target opponent each draw a card. But now, the dinosaur has woken up and is going to get in for a crisp 4 points of damage. And with 6 mana tapped, Archangel of Wrath, double kicked. Fairy Mastermind.
Yeah, 1 draw.
You draw 1, I draw 1.
Yeah.
And we can see there that Lauren is going to trigger the 2 Fairy Masterminds, draw 2 for Arne. And then no more lies.
Good draw. Good draw there from Huschenbeth. Really good sequencing, of course. As you mentioned, activate the Lauren. That'll trigger the Masterminds. Arne draws 3, 2, of course. Ikawa's 1, and one of those 3 was a copy of No More Lies. So again, this is what it looks like. The pressure on the battlefield, the reactive permission, counterspells, like No More Lies, like Negates, proactive disruption, like Deep Cavern Bat and discard spells. Gotta keep Ikawa off balance as much as possible, because if Ikawa has turns like we saw 2 turn cycles ago, which is Shark plus removal spell and Leyline Binding, turns that look like that are too much to overcome.
2 mana now for Arne. He plays another Deep Cavern Bat. Reveals Sunfall, Archangel of Wrath, and the Herd Migration. And Arne's going to have a bit of a think about what he wants to take here. What are you looking at, Sid?
Well, given the texture of Arne's hand, at least as we currently know it, it's a Deserted Beach and a Negate. So Negate is greater than Sunfall. Cool. So you have to take Archangel Wrath because you don't have an answer to that. And Herd Migration you really don't care about.
Don't do
No, you can only attack with the Flyers because the Topiary Stomper can block now, given the number of lands that are on the battlefield. So again, this is kind of the, okay, I've got my attackers, and now I've got like one more counter spell. Please be good enough.
So if Yoshihiko can find something like a Leyline Binding, it'll change things. Up go the sleeves again. So he finds Long Goodbye. That should be enough to keep him around for one more turn.
Well, the question is, what do we want to do with the Long Goodbye? Is it Long Goodbye killing a Deep Cavern Bat to get an Archangel and then play an Archangel? Maybe. It depends on what you think your opponent has going on in their hand.
So we know it's a negate, obviously, so the line is pretty clear here, right?
For us.
For us, it's pretty clear.
Yes.
For you and I, 2 big brain geniuses here,
Absolutely.
you know. What's that line, by the way? I just want to see if you're thinking the same thing as I am.
That we're the smartest people in the world?
No, the line on the battlefield. I just want to. I know what I would do, but you know what would?
Oh, what would I
Yeah,
do?
what would
Sure.
you? I know what I just want to see
Sure,
what
sure.
you're thinking there.
I am interested in Long Goodbye on Deep Cavern Bat.
I
Get
was
back
thinking
the
that too.
Archangel.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Yeah.
And then Archangel with the kicks.
Exactly.
Yep.
Just kick it once.
That's
yeah,
right.
That's right. That's what I was going to say.
Well, don't forget about this.
Yeah.
A little beatdown.
We missed it.
Dinosaur beatdown.
Not so smart after all, huh?
We do
Not
our
so
best.
smart
We're
after
doing
all.
our best.
We're doing our best. Let's see if Yoshihiko takes the same line here. Does play around the negate. The Long Goodbye, of course, can't be countered.
And we can't forget, too, that because the Lauren's on the battlefield, you can, of course, just like last turn, activate that, have Ikawa draw a card, which will trigger the Fairy Masterminds, which means that there's only, quote, 1 card in Huschenbeth's hand right now, but there's effectively 4.
Yeah, there are 3 extra. All right, long goodbye on the Deep Cavern Bat here. And this lines up very well against what Arne's got going on.
Mm-hmm.
The key line of text, this spell can't be countered. Virtue of Loyalty, the other card here in Arne's hand. So does he choose to draw in this situation?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Yoshihiko draws a card, Arne draws a card. Fairy Mastermind triggers, draw 2 cards. Deep Cavern Bat, the pickup for Arne, in addition to an island, an underground river. So a bit of a whiffsky there.
Mm-hmm.
Chromo Seed Shark isn't too bad for Yoshihiko. But Arne really is not in a position to do anything here against this long goodbye. Flash in a 2-2. Ooh!
Been a long weekend. It's been a long
Sailing close to the wind there, Arne Huschenbeth.
It's been a long weekend.
Yep. Nearly did it. But saved himself at the last
There
moment.
we
and
go.
Just lets it resolve. And what I really enjoyed was the little bit of theatre from Arne after that. This is sort of the tilt that, no, I you know what? I won't try to counter the uncounterable spell.
That's
No,
right.
I won't do that.
Yep.
He did try to sell it, though, as though he had something that he could have done. But in the end, the Archangel of Wrath comes down, destroys 1 of the fairies. That's going to buffer the life total for 2 points. And Yoshihiko is looking better and better after that turn.
Yoshihiko just trying to continue to keep his head above water.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing here. Again, remember, the longer the game goes, hypothetically, the better it is for Ikawa. Now, that is true in most instances. It doesn't mean it's true in all instances. One of those unique situations where it's not true is when one player, Arne, is drawing 3 cards to Ikawa's 1. So, even though you'd like to just play as many turns as possible to keep your head above water because your cards are more powerful, Huschenbeth just drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing isn't the ideal situation.
No.
So,
If you're drawing 1 excellent card a turn and your opponent's drawing 3 fine cards a turn, yeah.
You're going to need a decision.
All right, Arne is going to play Virtue of Loyalty, the Ardent Veil Fealty, to make a 2-2.
Yep.
And it's back to the German now. Arne, the only German in this entire tournament, as it happens.
It's true.
Yep. And managed to make it all the way through to the top 8, the top 4 indeed. Representing his country well. Japanese players, on the other hand,
They're
out in force.
crushing it.
Absolutely.
Crushing it.
Yeah. We had Team Moriyama Japan showing us the new meaning of dominance.
Now, Rafine is a really interesting draw in this situation because the tricky thing about Rafine, which I think Arne's probably going to cast, is that you can play Rafine and jam with your 3 other creatures and put a Connive trigger on the stack, right? But you don't really know what you're going to draw off of those 3 cards that could be potentially coming your way. So this attack could go well. It could also go quite poorly if that's what things end up looking like.
Yeah.
And I think Arne is kind of trying to take that into account right now because if you're able to spike something like a removal spell, it's awesome.
Yeah, I like
so here
this.
we go.
I think this is a good attack. You've just got to hope that the top of your deck's going to treat you well. It doesn't in this case. Arne draws 3 absolute stinkers off the top. That was 3 lands. But if you'd found 2 or even 1 removal spell, this attack would look a lot better.
Yeah.
A lot better. But as it is now, he's attacking creatures that are thoroughly outclassed and outsized by what Yoshihiko has got going on. Yoshihiko is tapped out.
Yep.
So he's not going to be able to activate those incubator tokens. But all the same, Arne now isn't in a position to do anything. 4 lands, a negate, and a Deep Cavern Bat is not going to make this attack any better.
Yeah, this is absolutely brutal because now if you're on it, you got to figure out, 1, I got to discard 3 cards. So what are those 3 cards going to be? Do I want to discard spells to be able to make my Fairy Mastermind a little bit larger into a 4/3, which of course the Archangel can trade with?
Yeah.
And then of course there's some life that can be gained. Archangel of course can choose to not block the Fairy Mastermind and block something else. And what does that look like? And we could have a Lauren activation in the meantime, which we are going to have. So that's going to happen. Does he find a removal spell?
I think that was...
No.
No? Just
No.
a land again. Oh, my goodness.
Can block.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I block?
Can I block is, that's not a question I'd want to answer.
No. Very, very enthusiastic block here from Yoshihiko. Lines the creatures up.
Yep.
The Angel on the Knight. Oh, no, okay, going to block the Fairy Mastermind here.
And remember, it's very easy for us because we're working with all the information, just like everybody is at home, to say, yeah, this is obviously going to be Ikawa's blocks and stuff like that. But Ikawa has no idea what's going on in Huschenbeth's hand right now. That's 4 cards, and there's 4 cards in the hand, yes, but just a bunch of cards were drawn, right? So there could be, is there a Ganjo, is there a Odawara, is there a different removal spell I'm not thinking of? What's going to happen post-combat? Again, you and I know the answer is nothing.
That's the thing. You're not sitting there putting your opponent on the Stone Cold Nothing.
No.
They discarded a couple of lands in a Deep Cavern Bat, so you're assuming, right, they've probably got, what, 1 land in hand maybe? They've got some business in there. But as it happens, no, Arne is sitting on next to nothing, running on fumes.
Am I concerned about a card like the Wandering Emperor?
Yeah.
Which would have been very good in that combat? Again, the answer is no. As you said, you're not putting your opponent on nothing when 4 new cards have been drawn. But that's really what is going on over there, actually.
That was the situation there. Yeah, you think about a card like the Wandering Emperor giving first strike at instant speed. Could have been brutal here. So, Yoshihiko makes some wise blocks, some prudent blocks. And now gets to untap on 5 life. 5 cards in hand, I think, as well, for our Japanese player. And are we going to see the Chrome Host Seed Shark played out here? Yes, we are.
And remember,
I think Yoshihiko has Arne on negate.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, with good reason.
Yeah.
I mean, now you can start checking boxes of what they could have.
Yeah.
Right? Because nothing happened in combat and nothing happened in second main phase.
Yeah.
So it's, okay, so what's the reactive cards that you could have, which is mostly No More Lies and Negate, right? Those are the things you're scared of. And then maybe Wandering Emperor works itself into the equation, but you can probably quickly deduce that that's not that big of a concern. Another point I want to make very quickly is previously, over the past couple of turn cycles, Arne had multiple copies of Fairy Mastermind alongside Lauren. So I was talking about the fact that Arne would be drawing 3 cards to Ikawa's 1.
Yeah.
Right? And so we're kind of playing this little dance of, does Ikawa want the game to go really long because Ikawa's cards are more powerful, or try to find a way to shorten it because Huschenbeth is drawing 3 cards a turn to Ikawa's 1. Well, that little combination is gone now, right? So Arne is drawing less cards because there's less card drawing on the battlefield via the creatures, which means Ikawa can kind of settle in for a longer game because we're back to my cards are better than yours and you're not drawing as many cards as I am.
Yoshihiko picks up Aziatora's Proving Ground. Arne finds Go for the Throat and Rafine's Tower off of the Fairy Mastermind activation. But look at that card that is in Yoshihiko's hand, Negate. This could prove to be a backbreaking card against Arne when he goes for some disruptive play. Again, I mentioned Yoshihiko's brought in these cards, I think, as counter-disruption.
Yeah.
And so the fact that he's got a Negate, it might end up with him having the final say as to how Arne attempts to leverage his interaction, his disruption, his removal, whatever it is. Oh, but then again, Arne now with a copy of No More Lies. And there are a lot of lands on the battlefield, but not so much that No More Lies is completely irrelevant.
Yeah, No More Lies is very much on in a situation like this. So that's a relevant draw step depending how the turn does go and if mana advantage does work itself into the equation. So Huschenbeth isn't out of this. And keep in mind that Archangel of Wrath, well, it didn't attack last turn. Well, why didn't it attack? Because Huschenbeth had that mana up. Again, could have been maybe a Wandering Emperor. It's not something that Ikawa really needs to play into at this stage of things. So just taking a very conservative approach because, again, the longer the game goes, the better it is for Ikawa. So don't take too many risks unnecessarily.
All right. Arne here. Pace of play slowing down as he considers what he wants to do. 3 mana. And we're going to see the Restless Anchorage activation here. Oh, no, perhaps not. Yes, we are. All right, so the 2/3 wakes up and heads in now, the full 3 Connive. Now I'm thinking about where the Connive will be done. Looks like it'll be Rafine. No, we're going to go for the Fairy Master.
Yeah.
Okay.
All these creatures right now are flyers, which means the Topiary Stomper is not going to get anything done here as far as blocking is concerned.
So yeah, as the battlefield stands now, one of them's getting through. Because the Archangel and the Chrome Host Seed Shark both have flying, of course.
Yeah, and
3/4/2/4.
if Huschenbeth wants to play this little game with Go for the Throat, plus a counterspell to protect, it actually looks like going to win that exchange.
Yeah, as you like.
I guess I missed.
Yeah.
Missed.
Yeah, at first or
Yeah,
at first, you
Yeah,
don't say so. You
it's
can
fine.
you can make business.
Yeah. I can make it.
You can make.
What was the question?
Maybe yeah. Not
trigger.
saying.
I already drew
So
Maybe forget.
the map trigger.
Yeah.
we have not done anything that indicates that it has been missed yet because we have
Missed trigger?
because the Rafine trigger could have been placed above the map trigger.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
So the game has not advanced to a point where we have missed the
Okay.
trigger.
Yeah,
Good point.
Yeah. This is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Final. Yeah. Yes.
Decision. Thinking.
So Yoshihiko was being very gentlemanly there at the beginning before the judge got involved by saying, as you like. So not treating it as a missed trigger. But then the judge came in to point out that the game actually hadn't advanced to the point that the map couldn't be generated, as the judge said. Maybe the Rafine trigger resolved first, in which case Arne will receive the map there.
Yeah, in this world, basically, Arne stacks Anchorage trigger, Rafine trigger, which means Rafine trigger resolves first,
Yeah.
draw 3, soon to be discarding 3, and then resolve the match for
Yeah.
on the restless one.
So the map is still on the stack.
Yes, indeed. But you can't half resolve a Rafine.
No.
We got-
Oh boy.
Yeah.
What a card that'd be.
Oh,
Draw 3 if you want.
yeah.
Discard 3.
That's right.
It's up to you.
And before blocks.
Before we go any further,
Before
guys,
block.
one second.
Why don't we
Yeah,
map trigger?
map.
Before we go any further,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if I have to nudge for the pace of play any further, there will be slow play warnings issued. Okay.
All right. Judge getting in there, letting them know.
With good reason.
Oh yeah. A lot of thinking to be done by these players, but it has. Of course, there's no time limit when it comes to top 8 Magic, but players still are expected to play at a reasonable pace. So go for the throat meets a negate, and Arne here has got a good opportunity to cash in this No More Lies here with Yoshihiko down to just 2 mana available.
And this is the difficult spot here for Arne because Arne has to fight back. If Arne doesn't fight back, that means Archangel gets the opportunity to block. Same with Seed Shark.
You can get the trigger.
Yeah, trigger. Okay.
Okay, so we have an incubator with 2 counters made thanks to the Chromo Seed Shark. Negate, targeting, go for the throat, targeting Archangel of Wrath. That is the current stack, and I think Arne is about to add to it. This is a juicy target for that No More Lies, and he's going to take it. Yeah, I think that's wise because again, this is a card that does fall off in value the longer the game goes. You want to pick your moment with it.
The problem here and why Arne is not thrilled as far as the body language is concerned is because he knows that there's the ability.
You are 13, right?
Yeah, there's the ability for an untap, and there might actually just be ability for a kill here. Yeah, which is incubate up and kill you. So block there, incubate up 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stompers 14. You're just dead on the kickback.
So 14 damage comes across on the crackback here.
Yep.
Because Arne is now tapped out.
8.
And then gain 3 as well with the herd migration.
And that's exactly why Ikawa asked, and he said, "You're 13, right?" And it's like, "Yeah." And it's like, "Okay."
Yeah, 6 times 6.
6. Good.
So there's your block, and then it's just fire in now.
Yeah.
This should be just a kill in the swing back.
So wake up all the eggs. They're able to attack straight away.
With
Yoshihiko.
a sunfall in the holster.
Yeah, that's it as well. So if it all goes sideways, it's not going to. We're going to see Yoshihiko crack some eggs, make an omelette that's going to send him to the final of the Pro Tour here. Congratulations, Yoshihiko Ikawa, taking out Arne Huschenbeth in straight sets, 3-0. Arne put up a hell of a fight there, Cedric, but a difficult matchup. Made all the worse by the fact that he's playing one of the best players that we've seen in the Pro Tour across the weekend. Ikawa at the top of the Swiss, the last undefeated player. He was running the tables for the longest time, and I'm excited to see him go up against Yuta Takahashi in our final.
So Domain was in a very interesting spot coming into the weekend. Everybody knows that Domain exists. It's just a matter of what does the metagame look like. If there is a lot of, let's say, teamer analyst or those analyst style decks, that's not good news for Domain. Quarterfinal result notwithstanding from earlier today from Ikawa. That's not a good place to be in. And if players want to beat Domain, there are very clear ways to go about doing it, but we're talking about an open format with 200 plus players. Is everyone going to be thinking the same way? This is a Pro Tour. You and I have been doing these long enough. We know that's not always the case. So you can take a little bit of a risk by playing Domain, which is my deck is really good against particular things. And if the metagame breaks my way and my matchups breaks my way, I feel like a genius. Now I might run into a bad matchup along the way, and maybe I get a little bit lucky to defeat that bad matchup, but if I get my good matchups, I could win this entire tournament. And as you just saw, Esper's a really good matchup, and it was the most played deck. So the domain players must have been going, yes, perfect. And Ikawa has absolutely smushed this tournament, has been in first place for the majority of the way. Another good matchup done with one more left to go.
Yuta Takahashi waiting in the wings on Azorius control. That will be a trickier matchup. But right now, it is time to catch up with Ikawa. Ailey got the chance to talk to Yoshihiko after his victory.
I'm here with Yoshihiko Ikawa picking up another victory against Arne Huschenbeth. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You look forward to the finals now, up against Yuta Takahashi. Are you ready?
Yeah, ready. My teammate, best friend, and so good driver. Yeah, very happy. I can fight against him in the final. Yeah.
How do you like your matchup against Azorius Control?
Maybe not so bad because his Azorius control don't have any JSs, but one Hora is maybe difficult to defeat. Yeah, but not so bad. I think. Yeah, hopefully.
Well,
yeah.
Excellent performance from you and your entire team. So congratulations and best of luck in the finals.
Thank you very much. I did the best.
Well, it was great to hear from Yoshihiko Ikawa there, and I'm very much looking forward to heading back and watching this final take place. Before we head out, Cedric, I want to thank you for your companionship and your expertise across the weekend, mate.
Thank you so much,
it's been
partner.
a pleasure. It's incredible. We've been doing this a long time.
Yes.
First time we ever got to do it together, and